Shoot, finna get up on this first crank with that Holley EFI, boy. It has been a while, but I had to do it. So I got a dual sync distributor that I've been working with, right? And it's been giving me a little bit of problems. But here's why. So one problem is the instructions are like half of it is not all there, and then some of it you can't even see what it's talking about. And I've never dealt with a dual sync distributor before, so I got half instructions and I was kind of doing the best I could, but I could not get the car to crank. And I think I know why. So after going over these instructions for a while, I decided, you know what? Let me actually try to look up. That's a new laptop, by the way. But let me try to look up the instructions on the computer and see if anything changes. And sure enough, I see stuff that I couldn't tell what was what before. And now I think I figured out my issue. So the distributor has a module, right? And this is one of the distributors that has where you can either do it at top dead center or you can do the 50-degree reference angle, which is supposed to give you a little bit better control when you're using the EFI. And also later on, if I want to do, individual cylinder control, it's supposed to give me that too. So this set screw was actually set to the 0. You can't see it, but there's a 0 back here, which is for regular top dead center, which is what I've been referencing off of, even though I was doing the 50-degree reference instructions, trying to get this thing to work and couldn't get it to work. So had to take off the rotor, had to figure out a way to get these screws off because it's not a direct straight down. So now that I got it set, I think I'll be all right. And as soon as I put it back in, everything's going to go like it's supposed to go. But I mean, there really aren't any, explanatory videos. So here's the thing. If you have one of these distributors, generally they're going to have two settings. One that you can do for the 0-degree top dead center, and then the other that you can do for the 50-degree reference angle, right? So that means you're gonna have to check and make sure that it is set. So if it's supposed to be at 0, it needs to be at 0. Supposed to be at 50, it needs to be at 50. I never done one of these before and couldn't really read those instructions, so I was doing the 50 on the 0. Now I think I got it right, and I'm gonna be able to put this back in the car. And since I'm already doing a video, I guess I'm gonna go ahead and show y'all some other stuff too. All right. Of course, one thing with distributors, when you get ready to put it back in, you have to find top dead center on your compression stroke. So what does that mean? Pulling out or finding your number 1 cylinder, and then number 2, finding the direction of your motor, and then getting you a socket and a breaker bar or a torque wrench or something big enough to turn it, especially if you're by yourself, because you're going to have to figure out what's going on in that cylinder, that number 1 cylinder, while you're cranking or while you're turning the crank. So you find something that you can use to crank it. I'm using a broken torque wrench, so it's basically a breaker bar at this point. And then you can see my balancer, which actually is a 360-degree balancer. And then once you come over this way, I got number 1 cylinder, spark plug pulled, and basically I got a long enough reach to where I can reach over there and crank that, and then also know what's going on in the cylinder. And you're pretty much waiting for pressure to be coming up, so that'll be the combustion stroke for cylinder number 1. And you can just kind of take your finger and feel for it, and really if you got enough compression, you can hear it. While cranking or rotating the crank, you can actually feel the compression stroke. You can kind of feel the wind kind of hitting you, or like I said, if you got high enough compression, you can hear it, and then you'll know where to stop. Now at this 50-degree reference, we need to stop at 50 degrees before top dead center, which you also need to make sure that either you know where the 50-degree mark is, or you have a balancer with the 50-degree mark. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that since I can't get a good video of it, and I'll be right back. All right, so you can see down there it's set at 50 degrees. It instructed us to put the distributor in and have the rotor facing towards the back. So went ahead and did that. Didn't tighten it down yet because there's another step that we have to do, which is about the the LED lights for the crank and cam signals. So we'll go ahead and do that too. But just in case you call tech line and somebody tells you that with the dual sync distributor you don't need any type of ignition box or any kind of wire or anything, that's incorrect. I found out the hard way, and I ended up getting a MSD box, get a little extra spark, and for right now, battery negative can be unhooked, but also I got the from my digital box I got the points signal disconnected. So 50 degrees like we're supposed to be, rotor to the back, all that's disconnected, and we're gonna go ahead and put this back together so we can see if this thing worked this time. In these types of distributors you have a cam and a crank sensor, which I can see the green. So we're supposed to rotate it counterclockwise until the green light comes on, which is the cam sensor, and then keep going once you pat up, and I see the red back there too. So basically green until just when it turns red, which is pretty much moving it real slow right there. So green until it turns red, and then after that it should be correctly phased. And now we put the cap back on and put all the wires on. Alright, so in the beginning, or in the instructions, even the poorly printed ones, they told us where number 1 is. Mine has a little rubber band that I made sure not to take off, but that rubber band lets me know what cylinder or what point should be number 1. So I'm gonna go ahead and put them all back on, and you should be able to find your sequence online. That's easy to look up. Or if you like me and you're a real engine head, you know it by heart. 1372654 for that big 351. You know what I'm saying? Got to put the spark plug back in cylinder number 1, because remember that's how we check for the compression stroke. Got to put the wire back on that, and then also got to put that points connector wire back together. Now, because we're doing the ECU, got to make sure that the ECU is calibrated like it's supposed to be. Mine already was. And then we should be able to see if we could set this thing up. Now, the EFI system has a static timing that we can use to check before we actually start the car to make sure that the timing's right. And got a timing gun to do that with. Hook that up, make sure this thing is timed right, and then after that, it's cold out here, it's late. I'm not gonna run the car because it's late, it's loud, and I definitely don't, I don't do that to my neighbors, unlike some of y'all. But at least I'll know that it's right, and I can sleep like a baby. I don't recommend this part, but since I'm by myself, I'm actually gonna jump my solenoid switch, starter solenoid, in order to catch the timing myself. Don't recommend it, but if you do it, make sure your car is not in gear, because it will jump at you. And then also make sure you got control of everything you're doing. I'm not even gonna show y'all this part, because if you do it and something happen, that's on you. Alright, so that was 100% success. It looks like it's dead on 15 degrees. And finally, I got it right. Just to recap, if depending on which one you got, you have to go into the, take off the cap, take off the rotor, make sure it's in the 50-degree reference angle position for the module, put it all back together, find top dead center, then go 50 degrees before top dead center as your reference angle, because that's what we're doing, the 50-degree reference angle. Make sure you don't have stuff wired up when you are trying to find your cam and crank sensor positions. Could electrocute yourself, and probably gonna be more than just a little burn mark on your finger. So disconnect that stuff, and then lock it down, which I did not say. Lock it down, and then also make sure that when you get one of these dual sync distributors, you're gonna have to get spark some other way. It's not just a regular distributor is gonna send out the signal. Something's gonna have to send the signal. In this case, I had to get that MSD ignition box. Then also, before you try to check the timing, especially if you're gonna do it by yourself, even if you're not gonna do it by yourself, um, cut off the fuel. You don't want gas flooding the engine. So either unhook your injectors or unhook the fuel pump so that no fuel is flowing, and then you should be straight. So yeah, I'm happy now. I can go in here, get out of this cold garage, and sleep well, knowing that I have accomplished something for the day. More coming soon on the WhiteHorse, so it's about time to start looking out for it. You know what I mean? I got a whole lot of stuff that's been done that I really haven't been able to do videos on. But yeah, I think I might want to see you on the streets. For real. Like anytime. Or the track. It don't matter. Either one. You pick one. Just let me know. Shoot, finna get up on this first crank with that Holley EFI, boy. Subscribe, catch me on Instagram. Go ahead and like, follow, and check it out, because it's 1,000 horsepower or bust.